Yes, indeed. This is Mr. Tom Brody. This is the Cheerz of the Real podcast. Real New York underground hip hop will never die. You know what it is. It's art, it's music, it's culture. And we are back with another one. We're live here at Mixerhead Studios. We got some special guests. I'm going to let everyone introduce themselves. We're going to go around the room. And before we even do that, I got individual that before we even get to his bio, real hip hop is in the building. I want people to know because on this platform, I love supporting real artists that highlight the culture and they've been grinding. They got a story to tell. So with that being said, my brother, introduce yourself to the people.
Most people know me as DJSHOK. I'm going by a new name, starting with the album that I'm just wrapping up right now, which is Demizba.
Mm-hmm.
And
interesting name.
Yeah, Demizba. It's ill. Like basically, it means it's an acronym: divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, add, which is like my whole creative process. So like I take a loop, divide it, I take something out of it, I bring that down to the track, and then I add something to it. So it's basically that's my process, and it's a loop of doing that.
So we
constantly.
Before we even get too crazy with the storyline with the people, break it down and let people kind of know production, the storyline, the bio, the history.
Well, one of the earliest records that I produced was with you. That was it's not you though, because it was this guy Spectrum.
This other guy.
So this other guy Spectrum,
right.
he had a lot of hair.
Many years ago.
He was a little bit younger. And also this guy over here, Jedi. And it was called Shock Therapy, and it was on an independent label. That was one of my early records. Not my first record. My first record was in '94 with Sony Continuum. That was with I had Cool Keith on it.
Wow.
Legendary.
It was with Raw Breed. Melly Mel was on that one.
Dope.
That was like my absolute first
dope
big release. Then I had Mass Vinyl. High Tech was our main artist.
Another super talented.
Yeah, Big Underground. I mean, to this day, still an audience
sought
that
out.
Looks for his music.
Yeah. Shout out to High Tech. What up?
Shout out to High Tech. And from there, went to the Rough Riders. Produced one of the biggest records in hip hop history, Slippin', DMX.
Fire.
And did other records with X. I did Here We Go Again with X. Rest in peace. Did like 5 songs for Eve. I did
Peter the Legend.
Did stuff with Kiss, with Styles, with me and Sheik basically did all the early D Block together, like in my studio in Yonkers. Snoop, I done stuff with Snoop. I done stuff with I mean so many. Tina Marie,
nice.
Which was dope. She passed away too.
Yep.
I did Remy Martin's first record, which is Miss Martin.
Wow.
On Pun's second album.
Working.
Did another song on that second Pun album. Rest in peace. It's crazy.
Working.
Like how many people I got to rest in peace off the catalog. It's crazy, right?
Sad that you say that, but we're getting old with the times. So
man.
Hip hop is getting older. We're getting older.
Yeah.
Sign of the times.
Yeah, it's also a tough business. The lifespan of artists in general, and the pressures that they're under, it also speaks to that.
Well said.
Too, because
yeah, well said. Well said.
Someone like Pun maybe would have taken better care of their health if they didn't have so many pressures.
Legendary,
and
right?
Someone like X too, with all these demands and different things and different deals and situations, it puts a extra layer. And performing, performing is a draining thing. It's not an easy thing to tour nonstop.
No.
People don't realize that. Like it takes a lot out of people and
professionalism. I think that's the key thing.
Yeah,
I remember even with all the name brand artists that you've worked with. There's one thing I've always taken away working with you is you always used to tell me there's a big difference between being a rapper and a recording professional artist.
Yeah, I remember those. That was the basement days. Yeah. That was when I was trying to get you guys. Basically, that was.
And I respected
it.
To
make records.
Yeah,
that was the time period of like New Eurekan and like these ciphers that would happen with Fat Beats and like that whole time,
of course,
which was a beautiful time in hip hop. But that time was like where, so you had all these people with dope skills and abilities, and they could spit bars at each other
for hours
until they got kicked out the street, basically.
Right.
And so what I was trying to do was make songs,
right.
And so it was always like I had to deal with.
I always respected that because
over lyricism too.
Yeah, because I mean, you want it to be lyrical, you want it to be authentic, but then you have to like get into this song structure. I mean, it is music, right? So it's like we've all agreed in the world of popular music, for song structures, verses, choruses, bridges if you want to do a bridge, intros, outros, and it's like whatever type of music you do, even if it's instrumental experimentation, it's gonna have these elements to it
for sure
because it's a language.
For sure.
It's like we speak in this language when we're talking to our listener, and our listener knows that language. And if sometimes we go too far off of it, it's gonna be hard to capture them. Because they're like, well, like a musician, as a producer, I can listen to like really abstract stuff because I'm so deep into the creative process, but I can't expect that level of depth from just someone who's working. They want to put on something to listen to. They're in their car. They're driving home. I got to keep in mind, like, music is a driving force for us emotionally in life, and I have to keep that in mind when I'm making it. So that's what we went through. Where it was like we got to take this. That we're doing, which is this emotion and this like this thing that we're
raw passion,
presenting ourselves like, yo, we're the illest, And that was the thing. I mean, there's so many people from that moment in time that were ill, But to keep doing it, it was like you had to like humble yourself,
contain it,
and work on the craft of not the craft of lyricism, the craft of battle, but the craft of making songs.
And again, kudos to you because it's something that I learned that there is that business element of it that we need to make songs. We need not to don't just rap for rappers, rap for a bigger audience. So touche to you because it's something that I did learn, and unfortunately, you burn bridges sometimes, or you learn the hard way. You get burnt yourself, and sometimes you put music out. But who are you really putting it out for? Who's the consumer? So
we had that discussion with Swift, now Swigger. We remember we were all talking in the studio. It was like I don't want to be a rapper's rapper only.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
Good time right now to introduce yourself, my brother, to the people.
Yo, what up? I'm Jedi Senior. And now I got Jedi Junior. So
that's good.
He always bugs out. He's like, Dad, that's my name.
So Jedi's another lethal MC, amazing history. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
real
me
real
and
New York native.
Brody and I, not me and Brody. Brody and I came up together. We were MCs in crime or partners in crime. We had a group called Pyramids, and it was me, Brody, and Matrix, another ill super MC, and we came up Lafayette together, which is a great segue from my man M. Low. Introduce yourself.
Word up.
Jedi Senior, that is awesome.
Definitely.
And then we got another special guest over here to my other side. Introduce yourself to the people.
Carmelo. M-Lo. Nice to meet everyone.
Yeah.
Hey. Nice to be around this cipher. This is great stories, man.
M-Lo's another like dope MC, talented individual from South Brooklyn. He's cut from the same cloth, and we here to build. We're here to showcase. He has a new project coming out too, so we're gonna showcase that. But with all that being said, I want to get back to to the beats, the production, the motivation. So going backwards, how do we even get into your craft? How do we even get into production, making beats, the whole hobby? How do we turn the hobby into professionalism?
Yeah, I mean, well, with me, I always loved music. I was breaking drum sets when I was just in the first grade, listening to the Go-Go's and playing We Got the Beat to the drums and like that was,
we got the beat.
Yeah, I used to play the drums to that shit. Like, literally, they bought me drums for Christmas, and I put holes in all of them, and so I'm like begging for new drums because I'm just sitting there, putting the stereo on, putting that record on, and just boom, 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 and so from there, to walking around with a tape recorder, anything music. First time I heard a DJ, it was my sister's Sweet 16. I was probably around that same age. It was Aldo Moran, who is the owner of Cutting Records.
Wow.
He was DJing their Sweet 16, and he kind of blew me away because it was like, oh snap, I didn't even know anything about that, and I'm watching him. He's playing records, and he kept playing like the Wicked Witch of the West, like that, ha ha ha, going so soon. My part, and me being a little kid, I was like, oh snap. He kept playing it like for me, you know what I mean?
Dope.
So he ended up being one of my mentors. And he's legendary, Cutting Records.
Of course.
I mean, from Al Nafish to one of you guys' good friends, Sapphire, to too many to name. I mean, he's credited on hundreds of records.
Yeah, a lot of history. Yeah.
And so he mentored me, and then from there I was just DJing.
and even to take it further backwards, when we have the come up, let people know where we're originally from in New York.
Oh, Yonkers. Yonkers, New York. YO. Basically my whole life, really. I've been in Yonkers my whole life.
Right.
And when I started producing was because I saw my cousin. He had a Insonic EPS 16, and I didn't even know that's how you. So I'm buying records. I'm playing records. I'm DJing.
For those that don't know what he just said, Producer 101.
Yeah, that's like a keyboard that like a lot of people use. Kanye used that one. RZA's famous for using it.
RZA's famous for that.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of there's like a lot of unique pieces
a lot of magic
gear.
out of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's a. So I'm basically there, and I see him start doing something, and he takes a loop from a record, and I'm like, this is how they make the records that I play. So it's all registering. And then from that moment on, I was on a journey to like, I still was DJing, but I was on a journey to like, yo, I can make a record that I would play. Like that's what started to burn in my brain. And I was like, that's crazy. And then being that, then it all made sense. Cause I'm like, wait a second. Yeah, that makes sense. Cause I got this James Brown breakbeat.
And what age we're talking? We're talking around.
Well, DJing since 10. When I saw my cousin, I was probably like 15 or 16 probably around there, and that blew my mind. And then so I still love DJing, but it was like I needed to get equipment. You know what I'm saying? So by the time I was 18, I was able to manage to get some equipment.
And DJing more so than b-boying or graffiti, or because everyone gravitates.
Yeah,
for me, I always tell people, growing up in South Brooklyn, because we had the train yards, like. Graffiti was probably my entry into the culture, but I have a lot of friends. It's more, DJing or breakdancing.
Well, I did used to write, and I used to write Shok in Yonkers. I was up a lot, and that was also a part of just. I mean, my entry into the culture was actually I'm the youngest, so it was like my siblings. Mm-hmm. My brother used to run around with New York City Breakers, and then like my sisters were like Funhouse regulars. And so, like, I grew up, like, when I was little, we're putting on KTU, Battle of the DJs,
KTU.
The Animal, Aldo was on there, too, Jelly Bean. So see, this is before, like, hip-hop had, like, a lane or anything like that.
Right.
Shout out to Jelly Bean.
But that was called Latin hip-hop almost, right?
Well, this is even before that. This is like where it hadn't really fully formed. So you had electro. Mm-hmm. You had like the stuff that you had a disco station who started playing electro and who started playing like some of the hip hop records that were using the disco beats, but that was being all mixed in with all these other kinds of music. A mix back then would have like Planet Rock, a new wave record. Like you would hear Planet Rock.
That Planet Rock beat though, it just hits
like
different. That hits different.
Like what's that one? Like don't Don't You Want Me? Dun. Like that would play, and then you might have like an old disco classic would come in.
A little new wave.
And it would be like this very big mix. So that's one of the things like with me with hip hop is like, I was watching the documentary and Lady Pink said something, and it was like, I kind of agree with her, is that, you know, people will try to like pigeonhole graffiti into hip hop, but she said graph was happening way before people even thought of hip hop.
Yeah.
And a lot of the thing, I tend to agree with that because I feel like hip hop wasn't named till much later, and everyone's fighting about when did this start and when did that start. But we should focus more, in my view, on New York City as a place and a birthplace of everything.
Amen, brother.
Because it was New York City vibe of like CBGBs, the Roxy, like all these different things, and people visiting us from Europe. It was like this combination of all this that set all this stuff off. You have like Blondie going with Fab.
Yep.
You have like all this mix of, you know, Pumpkin making these like disco live.
It was a crazy
beats.
mashup. Yeah, crazy
you
mashup.
have all these things happening.
You had a lot of underground
which
indie
is
bands.
not really necessarily hip hop. It's really New York City culture and how we party, how we go out, how there's art, how there's, you know the vibe of like, because really you could be a punk rocker. Someone's doing a throw up right there. You know, it's 3 a.m. This is New York City. It's not necessarily
eating a
have
pizza.
to be called. Yeah, someone's getting one of those big slices, you know, from one of them spots.
From Lenny's.
Like there's all these things happening. Yes, and then you got the fashion people, that like they're wearing something.
You are echoing exactly what
dope.
I've always told my brother, is that New York underground culture is different than anything else.
Exactly.
Right. Whether we talking about the rock scene, the punk scene, the boosting, the fashion, like we just
all
different.
of that.
It
Right?
is
And
great.
we made all of that shit. Is they have a term for it now. Now it's called retro. So whether we're talking about Jordans, Polo, the old North Faces, all that shit is relevant now.
Exactly.
Because of that 90s aesthetic that comes from us, right?
People want to label everything and put it into these categories. Because, I mean, like I've been around it since I was little, and I'm about to be 50, so I've been around it a long time, like loving. Not I don't want to say even just hip hop, just music, the New York City culture,
for sure.
freestyle, electronic, house music. I mean, that's why we have, you know, hip house.
Hip house.
Yeah.
That's why we have all this mixture, because in New York, it didn't get about the 5 elements and all this technical stuff until the Zulu anniversary started happening.
Right.
I didn't hear about the True School till then.
Right.
Like all this stuff was giving birth to sort of make a religiousness and like an identity on what it was.
Right, around the culture.
And then so that people could show up, learn what that was, and because I know what that is, I know about the 5 elements, now I'm hip hop. And it's like,
it's true though.
Like, not to disrespect, but I mean, I lived through all this, and like I'm a lover of music on top, you know.
Yeah.
But like, people just want to own it, and when they name it, they frame it and they box it, they can put it.
Shok's dropping bars right now. He's killing
well,
it.
no,
when they name it and box it, now they could put it on the shelf and sell it.
It goes back to corporate America. Whether we're talking about the Wu-Tang documentary, whether we're talking all that,
which is
like,
worse.
You
could have got mad at me for making you make a song, but corporate America made us make it a product.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. I hear you, bro. Listen.
That's good.
When I was a kid,
I've never heard somebody like compress New York City culture like he just did. Like just.
But
the
it's
whole,
true.
He time capsuled the entire thing. Like
because
the last
our era,
40 years.
that golden era, has so much value that it's been monopolized and kind of capitalized and duplicated, replicated. So now when you go to Germany or when you go to France or somewhere, someone's gonna have that look of a hip hop kid from 1994.
Yeah,
It's a language
or
now.
South America.
You feel me? It's like an aesthetic. It's like that identifies of a cool, slick, city slicker. You know what I mean? Hip metropolitan b-boy hip hop.
But the truest form of it is not to be, you know, because back in the days a popular word was poser.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So a lot of times if you just learn it and reenact it, it's kind of like being a poser instead of like being immersed in it.
Yeah,
because I believe that the people immersed in it didn't care about none of that. You
I
know,
believe
a dancer just wanted to dance. You know what I mean? Do you think they really like?
It's out of love.
If they felt
the labor of love,
do you think
right?
they cared if it was a house beat, if it was a freestyle beat,
That's a
if
fact.
it was the JBs? Do you think they really cared?
Right,
I don't
right.
think so. Like when they feel it, it's time to move. And I think that's the dance, but I think that goes along with rapping. I think that goes along with making, producing, writing music, whatever you're doing, And if you look at even other pieces of it, which we tend to forget about because everybody focuses on hip hop. You look at, the old clubs like the Garage and Red Zone,
Palladium,
Limelight. You can go Sound Factory.
Yeah.
You can go to all these different things.
All the clubs they wouldn't let
which
me
were
in.
integrated. One night was hip hop. One night was this.
That's true.
So we all, no matter what your flavor was.
That is true. As a young kid,
Yeah.
I will agree with that. As a young kid, that whole New York City club aesthetic exposed me to different kind of genres and
right,
shit.
because you could go in the main room,
Yeah.
might have been playing hip hop that night, but then when you went to the back room, they were playing house.
Yeah.
Then you went to downstairs,
They have,
and there
like,
was a guy
EDM,
doing some
goth.
playing
trance.
imports,
Yeah.
Goth.
Yeah.
And I
Goth,
think
if you're on the
or,
wrong night,
or
yeah.
goth, yeah, or someone's going crazy
Yeah.
that night
We
playing
stumbled-
150 BPM techno that made you want to
Bro.
throw yourself out of a window.
Dominator.
That's one thing about partying in Manhattan. You bound to see some crazy shit.
Yeah.
Especially 2, 3, 4 in the morning with all the after hour clubs and everything going on. You're gonna see some
Exactly.
crazy shit.
And I
That's
think
dope.
that's the beauty of it. The beauty of it
Yeah.
is I think that as these things get so big and marketable and money making, and we drive products.
Mm-hmm.
Our music, our culture I'm gonna just say New York City. We drive products,
Throughout the world.
throughout the whole world.
It's truth.
And it's like like back to those clubs even. It's these people know the story of the South Bronx was burning and hip hop, and they didn't have instruments, so they started playing records,
Right.
and they took that out of the schools, but that's how everything happens. You know what I mean? The same thing. A lot of like those clubs I mentioned is like the gays and everything. They didn't have no place to go.
But you just dropped a gem because a lot of people younger than us
Don't
wouldn't
even know
realize about the blackout.
Yeah.
And how the blackout sparked a lot of overnight DJs.
I mean, the blackout is how they got the equipment.
So for those that
A lot of
don't
people,
know,
yeah.
that New York City blackout in the 70s caused the epidemic of, not only thievery and theft,
Yeah.
but some overnight DJs.
I mean, next thing you know,
Procurement.
well, it's the thing is like now, you have such good access to things.
Right.
Like people are so lucky right now and so
Yeah.
blessed to be in this time where you can download a free app and make a song. You can record your vocals. You can do everything. Before, like I was saying, I was 16 and I knew that I needed about $3,500 somehow to make a beat. Which was
Pain
like,
was real.
what did that mean? That meant I had to work. You know what I'm saying? Like
Pain.
I took a summer job. I saved. I threw parties. I charged at the door. All that money kept, going back. And then I had, I did something else.
Labor of love.
I put that
Yo,
together.
That is the labor of love,
And
man.
it was a big thing and it was different because of that entry was so difficult. There was going to be only like 4 other guys maybe that made beats in Yonkers.
Wow.
The entry level was
Who
crazy.
were those? Just real quick, who were those? Like, because you basically been around. Like, I know we're talking about all cultures, but like in terms of hip hop, like who were those Yonkers? I know.
To be honest with you, I could
Coming up.
only think of one person that I could say was making hip hop and making noise at the same time as me, and that's PK. Pent, at the time he was Pent. So PK is another Rough Rider producer. He was with them, signed to them before I was. And I mean, he's one of the reasons.
I haven't met him. I know the name, but I
Yeah,
never met him.
so he's better known as P Killer. Pent he wrote also. Like, back in those days, you go through Yonkers, you're gonna see Pent, you're gonna see Shok.
Yeah.
And so he was one of them. Me, and there was another guy, Tone. And Oh, I'm bugging. Jay Blend.
Jay
Blend. Bro, talk about somebody amazing. Like, he was on the Kanye level back then. He rest in peace. He passed away. Blend, I can't believe I didn't think of him right away. He was like my brother.
Neighborhood legends.
Dude, Jay Blend, like,
Neighborhood legends.
Sick. Like, anybody, like, he did the stuff for Genovese, like Genovese's Thesis. I'm pretty sure he produced that. I could be wrong, but he did a lot of stuff with Genovese. Anybody from that time knows who Jay Blend is. And he was amazing. So
and artist-wise, like MC-wise, obviously we know X, Locks. Which one didn't make it through?
I mean,
that was like nasty.
There's a lot. I mean, my favorite that did. I'm gonna, because it's gonna be hard to remember a lot of them, but there definitely was. But I would say my favorite that didn't blow up that I feel like should have. I loved Phil Blunt's.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow!
Yeah, they had a record. Him and I think Black Jesus was on it.
I know. I probably heard like
There's
one
a record
verse.
that goes. It's like Society's Bug. Little. I'm in clubs affiliated with the grimiest thugs. You know, since '86 we've been thugging. When we first found out society don't really love us.
Was that the logo was like the Philly Blunts logo or
no, and they sampled the beat. Shout out to Lethal, another producer. See, it's coming back to me. Lethal was another producer, and he produced that beat, and he sampled the I Need Love, the dun dun dun, and then he put like some hard drums on it.
For people listening in and watching now, and I'm just curious, what's the initial correlation and relationship when we say Rough Riders? Like how did we go from hobbyists to we're taking it serious to now we just we have these name brand established artists that we're working with? What was the correlation or that bridge?
Basically, I mean, believe it or not, like when I had Mass Vinyl, there was a time when Mass Vinyl was steps ahead of what they were doing. Like
you put in a lot of work.
Rough Riders or like the owner
putting you mean like vinyls out and putting records out?
Yeah, we were putting records out. They at that time, like when I first met Joaquin, who's like the CEO of Rough Riders, who's the person that signed me. Their studio wasn't too put together. It was more. I felt like I had my stuff more together. At the time, so it was like I didn't really want to necessarily sign because I was like, well, me and J Biz, we're putting out records. We're doing good out the basement. We're charting and hits. Gavin, CMJ, we were in Billboard. We went to Romania. Like, it's like I got a story at the time.
You got momentum. We working.
And I'm like, they were managing the Locks. The Locks, they had signed a Bad Boy, but looking at the operation, I was like, So I stayed in touch though. I would come around once in a while to their studio, Powerhouse Studios.
A lot of MCs there.
Yeah, and Joaquin came by the basement, to check on me, and he was like, "Yo, they wanted to sign me, but I was like, eh." And one day I went to visit the studio, and at that time, I had heard "Get at Me, Dog." Like someone from the studio had somehow got it on tape,
track,
and they brought it to me, and they played it for me, and.
You knew it was a hit.
And no, it wasn't the full song. They were freestyling. I don't know how he must have took that shit. I don't know how he got it. But he was like, you got to hear this, Shok. And I was like, so my antennas went up now. Because I'm like, oh, this shit is kind of hard right here. And I was also from the underground too. So it was like, I had that like underground authenticity thing
loyalty
going on.
Yeah, loyalty.
Yeah, so I'm like listening. But this was something it was more, it was street. But the way they sampled that, the beat, I was like, yo, this I could mess with this, So that put my antennas up, and then a little while later, I went to visit, and at that time, I think they might have just released "Get at Me, Dog." I don't know if the video was done exactly. Like X wasn't like exploded yet.
Really?
Not at that moment when I went. Like it was like right at that cusp of it. And I came to the studio, and Wa was like, "Shok, come to the car." You know what I'm saying? So I was like, all right. He played me the whole X album.
Yeah, that was it.
He played that shit, and I'm just like with my jaw, like, this was like one of the greatest albums I ever heard in my life. It's Dark and Hell is Hot. He plays me the whole thing.
Yeah, that album.
And when he finished, first he's looking at my face because he knows he got me. He's looking at me, and he's like, he playing the whole thing. Let me hear the whole thing. And I just look. I was like, all right, let's do it. I was like, where do I sign? I just knew. I knew that was gonna be a very meaningful album.
That was a monumental classic.
Yeah,
album.
and the production from Grease, PK, it was like mind blowing to me. Like, and I had such a respect level for what they did, and the album, it was just like I was humbled. Like I was like, I did it.
Wow.
From me being like, I'm kind of like, you might be able to learn something from me. To that, I heard that, and I'm like, no, I'm humbled, and I want to be around you guys now.
What would you say? Is that a top 20 album?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely, no question.
The top
about
20 album.
Absolutely.
That X album it's official.
It's still dope now. Like, it's still relevant.
Him live,
now, so.
I ain't gonna hold you. Him live is another level.
Yeah,
His live performances are another level.
Absolutely.
Because he's a ball of energy.
Of energy, yeah.
I mean, there will never be another. I mean, there wasn't one before.
Right.
There won't be one after. There's only one.
It's not even like he's not a wordsmith per se, right?
No.
He's not gonna hit you with a complex word flow, but the energy and the passion are bananas, bro. He's on another level.
He'll hit you with the lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah, he will. Yeah.
It's tough to hear over the excitement.
Over the excitement, yeah.
But I agree with you. You know, I think his main thing, like especially if he's in front of you, like you said, live, it's the passion. Like and it's just so raw, and it's like undeniable. And that's how he got signed too. You know, the story goes, you know, he spit his bars in front of Lior.
Yep.
And he just knew. You know, and it's like it's that passion, and this is what drives us musicians, you know, as people who make music. It's the passion, and even if you make money or anything like that, you can get lost in the money, in the business, and you know sometimes it's a blessing for that to be shaken up.
Yep.
Just to go back to the root of why you did it and the love of it, because I mean, if you're in a good space making music,
yep,
you're happy just by making it, and you're content.
Staying independent.
Just to listen back.
Yep.
What you did that night, you know, like after the session or whatever you're working on, just that process, if you really love it, is like...
feeds the soul.
It's self-satisfying. It's like, you know, people look for instantaneous gratification, you know, a lot
true.
Now in the wrong ways.
Yeah, it's true. That's very true.
But if you work, you know, like I'm, you know, like I listen to like and read Alan Watts, and one of the things that like he talks about is discipline. And it's like if discipline's been made an ugly thing, because we look at it like, oh, I got to get up at 6 a.m. That's like our way of looking at discipline. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to check these boxes. As opposed to how he explains it, where it's like discipline is the way that you get from what's inside you out into the real world. So it's like you have the way to manifest the dream you have is through discipline. So it's a beautiful thing. So you work hard, like, you know, like to make something beautiful that other people will appreciate, but that's coming from you. And that is what discipline does.
Amen.
So it's like it's the same thing, but looking at it in a more human way instead of like a robotic way. Like if I have discipline, I'm going to get from here to there.
Well, no,
you know?
it's key because if you could stay the course and be disciplined and not be sidetracked, then you could apply that to athletics or any you could apply that to anything, because
to
again,
any discipline.
Anything.
It's something I echo with the film or on the podcast or through the pop-ups, that there are a million people that are just as talented as me who could probably do a pop-up and put a better art than me and do better canvases. But the problem is that they're not doing it, and they're not activating their audience. So sure, there are people who could probably rap better than me or paint better than me, but you know what? You're not getting a space and getting 100 people to come down, and you ain't activating anyone. You know what I mean?
Amen.
And they hate from the sidelines. Like,
listen.
Absolutely.
There are a million. Everyone is talented, but show me what you're worth. Let me see the product. You know what I mean?
I actually got into a big argument with somebody recently about that, because they told me that I was successful because I was talented, and I don't know why, but it pissed me off like crazy.
Well,
why? Because I know a lot of people who are more talented than me.
Hard work, right?
I know a lot of people who are talented. I know tons of people. I mean, just if I looked at my immediate family, I could tell you each of my siblings that has they each have an amazing talent.
Right.
I could tell you about I see talent. You know what it is? Maybe because I'm very sensitive because I'm a creative person. I could see talent in people quickly. So when he said that, it bothered me because I'm not successful because of my talent. I'm successful because I'm willing to not give up. I'm successful because on a day I don't feel like doing it, I still do it because I love it that much.
Shok's killing it, man.
Bro.
So it's like
He's dropping it.
Message.
yeah, and that's the truth. And that's why it offended me because it was like, nah, man. He was trying to. You know what I think people do?
But not everyone gets it. They're not on the frequency.
But you know why it pisses
They
me
don't
off?
get it.
Because I think that they use that as an excuse not to follow their dreams.
True.
Because they look at you and they say, "Oh, you did good because you're talented. I don't have no talent." And no, that's not true. Because, all right, maybe you don't do music. Maybe you don't do. But talent is hustle. Talent is being able to whatever. And if you hone in on it enough, there's something you loved at one time when
it could be lucrative. Absolutely.
When you were a kid, let's put it to this way: the inner child. When you were a kid, there was something you loved. All right, and that was supposed to. If it wasn't, and you didn't hone in on it, that was your talent. Like if it was sitting down playing with trucks, pretending this was a building and this was this, maybe you should have made buildings. Maybe you should, I don't know what it is, but
as a kid, when we played cops and robbers, I always wanted to be the robber. Just saying.
So I don't know. You missed your calling, man. You missed your calling.
I always wanted to be the thief. I don't know.
So, but even that, you know what though? But even in being the thief, that takes skill, that takes planning.
Amen.
So it's like even in being that, because a lot of times, for example, playing the thief as you're playing as a kid, that could lead up to doing a deal and doing it in a way
of course.
And you're looking at side pieces that other people aren't seeing. What I'm trying to say is I'm a firm believer, bottom line, that's just a bullshit ass excuse. You did it, because you have talent.
Yeah.
Because nah, man. You know why? Because as a matter of fact, outside of the New Eurekan, there was 50 people in ciphers with mad talent. Mad talent.
Yeah.
Mad talent. I could remember certain people that I wonder sometimes what happened to this person, what happened to that person, and you guys were there. So it's like they all had talent,
right?
And not necessarily did anything with it.
That era, I will admit, that era of people that we were around, that group of people, just extremely talented.
If all that could have been harnessed, that could have been.
But I think it was harnessed, like for example, like in Danny and the other folks they harnessed the Lyricist Lounge album. They captured that.
That was one way of capturing it.
They captured that. Yeah.
Good point. Very good point. They captured
and now the difference is this era, although we have the phone, is
Danny
the stage. You know what I mean? Like my man says, your phone is the stage now. Where years ago we needed, open mics and it doesn't exist. There are no outlets for up and coming artists like that.
No, now it's
to kind of experiment.
It's like a page on Instagram that lets you freestyle in front of a mic, and you want to get on that platform. So
like how dare you? You want to hustle the hustle. You want to charge me $10 so I can post my freestyle on your page. You got nerve.
Now we going somewhere else.
That's a
you got nerve.
That's a different industry.
The scheme within the scheme.
To make money off of artists, right?
You know what I mean?
Money off the dream.
Oh God.
Good. Actually, a good segue. Dave, you could pull up
that was dope, Shok.
These clips that I have,
absolutely.
And we'll keep the premise of production and hip hop going on. But again, anyone, they're all relevant. Anyone, you could pull up the AI maybe. But it's a good conversation and segue piece. I kind of wanted to get into AI and how that's kind of playing a factor in art and affecting artists and creativity, and because I myself don't even know who owns anything and the legality behind that. I don't even know,
It's a big conversation.
It is. So I found this clip, and the thought you guys might enjoy this one. Let's take a look.
Some fresh rules are coming to the AI space. A U.S. federal judge has ruled that a piece of AI-generated art cannot be protected under copyright law. The decision says that only human-generated work can be covered. For more on this, we're joined by Yahoo Finance's Alexis Keenan. Hey, Alexis.
Hi, yeah. So if you had any dreams of having a company generate AI art for you and reap all
like
the benefits and licensings of that, then this judge is dashing those hopes, at least at this stage. It's coming from the D.C. court, from a federal court, a district court there. And the judge is saying that no, this particular piece of art, I think we have it to show on the screen there within the context of the decision. That piece of art, the judge said, it cannot get copyright protection.
Cannot.
And this art was generated by a software that is owned by the plaintiff in this case, and his name is Stephen Thaler. And what he did is he applied for a copyright, and he said he wanted then
tried to get a
the name of the copyright to go to the computer software, but he wanted then the rights to be derived and transferred over to him so that he could benefit from it if there was any benefit to be had. Now, that definition of whether or not something can be copyrighted has been really murky because courts across the country have been coming down with different decisions, and ultimately in March the Copyright Office tried to give some clarity, and they said that they
so it has to be human generated,
that they're willing to consider AI inclusive art,
did they
but that
specify
it can't be
where?
generated wholly by machine. So in this case, because the art was generated only by the computer algorithm and the software, that the judge said no. What the Copyright Office said, so that this decision seems to be in keeping with the Copyright Office's instruction, they said a human must create a work's expressive elements. In the ruling, the judge writes this. She says, copyright has never stretched so far as to protect works generated by new forms of technology operating absent any guiding human hand. Human authorship, she said, is a bedrock requirement of
is the bedrock requirement
now, I look
of
back
copyright.
Into some of the deals so far that have taken
Dave, I'm good on
AI
that end with the audio. You can stop that.
Human authorship.
With that being said, how do you guys feel about that? What's going on? Any opinions?
I think human authorship will be a dope album.
That is a dope album, actually.
That's a good idea.
I'm gonna name my dog Human Authorship.
Human Authorship. HO for short. HA, I'm sorry. HA. Come over here.
Get over here. But yeah, I think it's something to be noted for artists because it's gonna get out of hand and
yeah, it's a rabbit hole for sure.
Right? How do you control it?
I mean, I'm actually deep into that on this new album. I've been using like a lot of technology, a lot of AI stuff, and what I think that the key point in what, and I've watched videos and I've really gone down this rabbit hole, legal and technical. So I think that the key of what she said is without any human authorship.
But if you're prompting the art and you're saying Van Gogh, 70s, graffiti, oil paint, blah blah blah, technically I'm a human.
So that's where it's getting crazy. Right? That's what I'm saying. That's key. So like
weird.
So human authorship, how do you define that, right? So this is like, I don't think any of these things can stick, in my opinion. Any of these decisions like can stick very well because so many things have to be so clearly defined.
Right.
So that you can actually make a case with any weight to it, right? So yeah, they made this decision, but then this decision is made and then it's cited somewhere else, and then they have to, someone says, okay, according to this decision, and then it's going to be like, yeah, but he did use human input, like you just said, right?
Right.
So, I mean, me personally, like how am I doing it?
Because I'm assuming you can prove, obviously, right? We can prove that we used certain software and certain, input.
Yeah.
To make this kind of click this way. You know what I mean? Like we programmed it to do a certain thing.
So we're always this is where it gets crazy because we're actually always using other things to create. We're using a guitar. We're using a software.
Art inspires art.
We're using a drum machine.
Right.
We're using
sample
on and on and on, a sample of this or that, blah blah blah. So the problem is, in my opinion,
METS
that our lazy culture, the way that they took to AI was to be lazy and not do anything, right?
Yeah,
so
people are lazy now.
So they're saying, "Oh, I love AI. Why? Because I could just make a picture by hitting enter." And it's like, I don't look at it that way. So what I'm doing is, instead of, like, everybody found out you could make voices with AI, and they were like, "Oh, let me make Drake's voice. Oh, let me make Kendrick's voice." And it's like, that's corny.
It's definitely.
I think that's what they're trying to protect.
So what I'm doing is, just my personal look at it is, I'm treating the AI like a tool. So, like, I'm using it to make voices that aren't other voices. So I'm mixing 3 voices to make a unique voice.
Yeah.
If I'm using it for a picture, I have an idea of the picture I want.
Right.
Like, I have a vision, and so I'm super having a part in it.
Yo, the internet is undefeated. I was just watching they have a Drake and Kendrick 1950s doo-wop AI
So
remix.
that's what they're doing. Yeah. So
crazy
exactly.
shit.
And that's what,
you know what I mean?
But that's what I mean by people using it in a lazy way. Why are they doing that? Because all you have to do is select funk, soul, type in the lyrics of the Kendrick song or whatever, and it's gonna spit it out for you. You might have to try a few times till you get a good one.
Yeah.
But
Dave, you could bring up the next clip.
You know?
That's wild.
It's super
You
easy.
could lower the instrumentals in the background.
I think these court cases kind of have to happen because precedents need to be set. So, like, you know, people are just putting the system to the test.
For sure.
Now, I think the question is what percentage of human authorship is then deemed that it is yours and then not AI generated. But you cannot let AI generated stuff be copywritten because, you know, it's infinite computing. So, like, mathematically, it can generate so many frames.
That's
What if it
crazy.
creates something before a human creates it without a human ever seeing it? You know, because it can go infinite. So, like, it generated something, then a human, but then it's already copywritten.
Dave, you could pull up the next clip, but good time. Introduce yourself to the people.
Hey, what's up? This is Fee Films, videographer, photographer, business owner. Do a lot of work with Mr. Tom Brody. Pleasure to be here, and I feel super blessed to be a fly on the wall and just kind of hear all these stories about hip hop, because hip hop is something that I love, and it's good to hear about it when it wasn't in my radar.
Facts. Another super duper talented individual.
Near future dad, though.
And I'm about to be a pops in like 3 weeks.
What's up?
And for those that don't know, that will be the hardest job you ever had.
The hardest best job. The hardest best job.
The hardest best job. That's
You know what I mean?
How much they pay?
How much you pay?
I get paid in hugs. You know? Dave, let me get the next clip. Either one. But so with that being said, I have another clip for conversation purposes here at the Cheerz of the Real podcast. You know what I mean? We're gonna pull up a clip, and then we'll kind of get into the rabbit hole of conversation. This is Meth being asked something on
People are saying
TMZ.
that this is like the end of hip hop as we know it.
How?
You know, so
What's
I'm
up with
just
his
asking your
hat?
opinion on that. Do you agree
Stop
with
it.
that statement? Do you feel like, you know, some people being shown in a different light, is that ruining the way we are going to see hip hop going forward, or like the culture?
I don't think that it has anything to do with hip hop. What are we talking about here, really? Like,
Well,
as far as
I mean, I don't want to like just go straight to it, but you know, like everything with Diddy, people are saying it's kind of the end of
Has
hip
nothing
hop
to
at
do
that
with
era.
hip-hop.
Okay.
Has nothing to do with hip hop.
I agree.
At all. So I don't see a correlation whatsoever. If we're talking about creative and music and stuff like that, there's people still listening.
Yeah,
all
that guy right there. He said, "Get the fuck out of
He
here."
said, yo, get the fuck out of here.
But yo, man, what's
what
up
kind of
with
hat is
that?
that? It's great.
They caught Meth at the wrong moment.
You heard?
Like, he was not ready for this.
He was not.
No way.
Yo, Dave, you could pause the clip, Dave.
I don't wear
So what do we think around the board? Do we agree? Do we not agree? I personally agree. I say, you know, Diddy's situation got nothing to do with hip hop
I mean,
at the end of the day.
I wish I
he said
disagreed,
so,
so
yeah.
it could be an interesting
She
conversation.
had no real questions.
But I agree completely.
Yeah.
I mean, but
completely.
I think if you're a person of hip hop, you're gonna say that this is not reflective of hip hop. But for people who don't follow hip hop, people who are observers, Diddy is a mascot of hip hop, and it is gonna be associated with hip hop, and
whether we like it or not.
Whether we like it or not.
Just as much as people stop going to doctors because of Bill Cosby.
But, I mean, I feel like it's not because my reasoning is this: like, hip hop is this one thing, right? And then just like I was saying, when you box it up earlier and you put it in, so hip hop, until you bring it to California and you go to these weird parties and you got these weird things happening, until hip hop was like introduced to that, to me, I don't think it got like this.
Agreed. Yeah.
And I think that this is influenced by Hollywood. So this is like Hollywood making its way into hip hop to me. It's not hip hop. Like, hip hop didn't bring this to Hollywood.
That was
Hollywood.
Eyes Wide Shut.
Wouldn't even
meets
put a
hip-hop.
correlation between the two. That is such a stretch.
Yeah,
it's too much of a stretch. We're not going to let
but
one
like
bad
he says,
seed
but
ruin the whole batch.
But that's how most people think. It's reflective
you
of
brought
the
up
culture.
a really good point, because whether I think what I'm saying is 100% accurate, but of course it's my opinion.
But we always felt that Diddy was never real hip hop per se. He's a pop artist. He's not like.
But he's a businessman first.
He's a businessman, right? Yeah, he's a hip hop mascot. Well said.
But the thing is,
it's true.
He also used hip hop and hip hop influence to do the deeds
for the
that
branding,
he
for the deals,
too.
for the liquor deals, for the listen. You're getting what are they talking about? 70, 60 million a year. Like, yo, touche, bro.
But nobody's not gonna drink liquor because.
Correct. It's not. I don't even think it's the sexual deviance. It's the acts of the deviance. It's like the details of the shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's a rabbit hole of.
It's the
that's not hip hop.
Abuse of power.
That's not hip hop.
That's not hip hop.
That's not hip hop.
It really, it's just the abuse of power, like by someone who's corrupted.
No, like
in Hollywood, you got.
In other words, like a homo act is a homo act. It doesn't make it a hip hop homo act. Like, what makes it?
I'm gonna stop listening to rap.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what?
But it is
like hip hop sex.
I think we're talking the real because this is cheers to the real. But you're correct on the perception.
Yeah, the perception.
Like, I think cheers to the real. This is the real.
What do they say? Perception is reality.
But the perception
is reality. Yeah.
I mean, this is. Now you're talking. That's business.
Business.
Those
he's
people
getting dropped like a hot rock.
Man is gonna say perception is
reality.
Those folks weren't buying records. They weren't buying hip hop swag. The people that have that perception, I'm not saying they're not out there.
They damn sure buying those liquor bottles though. He was moving those liquor bottles.
That might get affected, but not hip hop.
No, but it's a big thing. This is the talk of the world.
Wait, but what if this is just the tip of the iceberg? What if as more information comes out, you hear more. Hopefully, this is not the case, but it seems like this is a
rabbit hole.
Yeah, like there's a list out there of some sort.
Hip hop.
Whoever they can't pay off.
You don't remember the politicians trying to squash hip hop? Who had beef with Tupac? What was that?
I know what you're talking about.
I don't know. Nancy Reagan. Everybody wanted to stop hip hop for one reason or another. And
I do know one thing. It seems like the more money you obtain and the more wealth you get, and the higher up the tax bracket, the weirder shit becomes.
One thing I can say though is that wasn't growing up. That wasn't my hip hop. That wasn't my interpretation.
No, well said. He was not my reflection of hip hop.
Him specifically.
Not him
even,
specifically.
Like, as great as Jay, and not to take away from his work, but like
he's not in your top 5.
It's not that. Forget about that topic. Like it's more like it was just like I feel like that vibe. Whatever they're getting today, I don't know if it's like a distraction from what's really going on. It's like, let's flood the news with all this, right? Because I can't escape my whether it's YouTube
it's overkill.
Or
it's
overkill.
Or
it's
overkill.
Like,
it's the number one thing.
It's overkill. It's like there
about.
are people creating YouTube channels right now just to talk about that.
Yeah.
And they're uploading.
They know that's
recycled
for years now.
If we pay attention to it, they win.
Yeah.
People are putting out. They're putting out faceless videos and they're recycling videos.
But what I'm saying, like so for us, I don't mean to be like, hey, back in the day, but just growing up, I didn't feel that was my interpretation of hip hop.
I kind of agree with you, but you know what? He does define hip hop. He took a bunch of different cultures and blended into, that's what New York does. That's what America does. Melting pot of a bunch of things, and they needed a term for it. And like he said, they labeled it hip hop.
Yeah.
Well, what about this? What Diddy did, is not reflective of hip hop, but hip hop has also expressed way worse stuff than what we know is going on here too. So maybe to a degree, it is all hip hop, and we just don't want to admit it. Environment. It's because there is a section of hip hop that kind of boasts about. The boosting.
I hear you.
The pimping.
The criminal
being the
element.
toughest dude on the block. Like that.
Yeah.
Like that does happen. And from people who we deem as hip hop icons. But
he was doing dirt on another level though. When you have tunnels underneath your house that connect to another house, you're doing things.
That's that Hollywood, man.
Exactly.
Well, that's just
Hollywood
rich hip hop,
man.
You got champagne problems, brother. Sorry, you on a different level.
That house was probably like that when he bought it. He goes, "I'll take it."
You feel me? But again, I judge people on the company they keep, and it seems like everyone that has ever done business with that man, things go sour.
Oh, that's like
it's a rabbit hole of bad business.
Like there's
whether it's G-Dep, whether it was Shine. Listen, Shine. Look at that man. He had to go run to another country. You know what I mean?
He's doing all right now.
He's doing all right now. You know what I mean?
But he took a fall. He was a fall
guy. Shout out
to
Shine.
But you know what though? I mean, I don't want to go crazy on this, but at the same time too, everything's about Diddy. But there was a lot of people around.
Yep.
You gotta take. There's consequences
I've been
to actions.
in many because I'm not a party. You guys know me. I'm not a party dude. I love the studio. I love the creation. I don't like the politics, and I don't really need to be at nobody's party.
Mm-hmm.
And
so you're
been a few times.
He's like, I haven't been to a Diddy.
No.
party.
I wanted to say that to say this which is absolutely accurate.
Ice Cube.
But what I'm trying to say is
That's great.
I've been in situations where I knew immediately. It didn't take me walking around. It didn't take a lot. I immediately knew.
Radar on.
I'm out. You know what I mean? Whether it was something on this weird side, that weird side, or that weird side.
Your Spidey senses were going off.
Sides.
Spidey. What's going on, Spidey?
Yeah, so what I'm trying to say is, we got to also start looking at,
you got a little self-reflection.
Who went out and got this stuff? Who was who was really cool with it? Who was getting the leftovers? Who was
well, if the rabbit hole goes that far, that means there was a lot of people co-signing the madness.
Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying.
Whistleblown a long time ago.
And winning with the madness.
Exactly. So that's my point. It's it's you could look at him all you want because he's the one abusing his power. He's doing all these things, but he's inside of a culture, and I'm not talking about hip hop. To me, it's Hollywood.
Yeah.
He's inside a culture that's very accepting. Because, dude, I've been to a couple Grammy parties or kind of, there was a time when there was this manager kind of courting me and kept taking me out to dinner. And my wife was like, yo, he's taking you out again? What's up with that guy? Is he, you know what I'm saying? It's and I just kind of went on the skirts of that weirdness and I didn't like it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it is something off camera that we have spoke about because even the conversation there's layers to it. But I guess the more you see, the more you can kind of be turned off from music. At least the business component.
No, and it can poison your music too.
It
can poison you. Yeah. My music was even poisoned by an underground icon who I don't want to blow up, but this person told me and Tech in simple terms, I can't play your music because your partner did something, and this is an underground icon. So it's there's that exists at all levels.
People don't realize who are coming up, and you guys could chime in before we play the last video. But relationships not only are important in your 9-to-5 real world, but relationships in music. When you burn bridges or you have bad relationships,
in that case,
your name is done.
I didn't even burn the bridge.
Right.
My partner did something that he didn't. I mean, I'll tell the story. I mean, it's Bobbito. You know what I'm saying? It's Bobbito's show was
legendary
church to me.
Yeah.
So like it broke me and Tech's heart, man. Like we are getting play. Red Alert's playing us. Flex is playing us. Ladies Night's playing us. We're charting in every college station. Like we're like respected. Like we're getting play in Cali. You know, on Sway and Tech. We're like every underground situation.
In college radio, you said that was the move back then.
Right. Like we're going everywhere, and then we're not getting support at the place we would camp out outside of Columbia to give them a record. And so me and Tech were like, yo, let's just go. He's going to be at, owner of Fat Beats gave me a heads up. He's like, he's going to be here. Because I was like, damn, yo, why is he not playing our record? We knew it was a good record. And we knew it fit the show because we worshiped the show.
That was what, 24/7?
24/7.
Yeah, great record.
So we asked him, and he straight told me, at that point I was like totally like disenchanted with the underground. You know what I'm saying? Like I was just like, I'm good.
That was a good record.
Because he told me exactly that. He said, yo, your man, something happened with him and my partner Jay at the distribution company my partner Jay worked at. I don't even know the details of it. It was something with a record, and I don't even know. And it didn't go the way he wanted, and he's taking that. And me and Tech told him, yo, we don't even know about that. Like,
fuck.
I produced it. He rapped. It's like, that's got nothing to do with it. He's like, well, I can't mess with nobody that's connected to him.
See how we suffered the consequences?
But I was up there. I went up there, did a verse. So at least I
I mean, no, we got promos. 8-Track went up there.
Right.
It was like, it's not like Stretch played some of Tech stuff when he went kind of on his own. So that's telling, and it's like, but that's back to what you're saying. Relationships is very. There's many people that sometimes offer something that they didn't even do.
Yeah.
Get locked out.
Yeah.
It's gate kept.
You could get blackballed quick.
And the thing that bothered me the most was like I was this naive kid who thought that this was the purest form of hip hop. 89 Tech 9. That night, this can't happen here. Like this can happen on 97. This can happen. You know what I mean? Like it broke my heart to pieces.
This is my people.
This is like everything to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm up with the tape Thursdays. I'm going to school the next day. I'm bringing the tape with
me. Crazy.
Which makes a lot of sense because now it stems back to like I remember when you were starting to get that Rough Riders deal and all that stuff, and you gave us the talk. What's the talk?
Yeah, you got to tell me. Remind me. Is that the
talk?
You gave us the talk.
Tell me.
Like, yo, Jedi spec. Like enough with this underground shit. Like,
you honestly, that's what made me.
He gave us the real speech.
But
like,
that's what,
leave this underground shit alone.
Yeah,
that was like after several sessions and putting in work, and then you'd be like, yo, guys, get off this underground high horse.
Because what I realized was, unfortunately, like I had this like, it was almost like being disillusioned from a religion. You know what I mean? Like
that's a good analogy. I
was so religious about it, and like I believed in them and this whole thing, and the purity of it, and the anti-establishment. And when I saw someone do that who was supposed to be opposed to it, I said, "F it." I was like, and in a way, it was a blessing because it's like, I don't know what would happen if I went a different direction, but it opened me to not only doing one style of music. It made me say, okay, I don't have to be in this religion anymore. I can love and do any kind of music now. Like I don't have to. I don't have to.
No,
wear
it's a good analogy. I always call
and,
them, and I always it's like a weird, love-hate relationship with hip hop.
That's ill because shouts to Bob though. The interesting thing is, I remember I was gonna tell you this before. One of my best nights was, I think, like it was like Bob was DJing. We were at the Vinyl.
Oh, that was a great night.
We were at the Vinyl.
I know what night you're talking about.
Because what you described, like different rooms, I think, Spec, you were there too. Like,
yeah.
But different rooms going on, and it was like all different scenes. And I was like, that was such a good night in New York City underground culture. Like, I still remember that shit.
Vinyl had some great. Yeah. We did a great party there one time.
Yeah, I think was it a party you got? Yeah, it was a tech release.
It was a tech release. Yeah, I DJ'd in the back room all night. That was a great night.
I still have that vinyl framed, really nice, high regard. Right. Dave, could you pull up the last clip? we're coming to the last lap.
That was a good night.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was.
With some real underground legends
The
right
fact that you
now.
could remember that 30 years later, I was like, I still got that great night.
And we're gonna play something. I think it's at 1. I gave you the timestamp on it. There we go. So this is Snoop discussing how artists are getting paid from streaming platforms. Thought it was kind of funny, but it's something that I relate to because I kind of relate to the pain. I have currently 9 albums floating around, and I'm still wondering sometimes, like, how are we really calculating the exact amount? Yeah. What's up with the pennies and the nickels?
Dude, you have an amazing body of work. 9 albums.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Work ethic, bro.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah. No, but it's just because you're talented.
Thank you, brother.
It's not because you work hard.
I don't work hard.
You're just talented.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You're just lucky.
Luck. Play that there, Dave.
It's exciting, but streaming got to get their shit together. Because I don't understand how the fuck you get paid off of that shit. Like, I mean, can somebody explain to me how you can get 1 billion streams and not get $1 million?
Wow.
Like, that shit don't make sense to me.
I love that people clapped.
I don't know who's running the streaming industry, if you in here or not. You need to give us some information on how to track this money down. Because 1 + 1 ain't adding up to 2. That shit don't add up, and I have to say it. Because that's the main gripe with a lot of us artists is that we do major numbers with streams and this shit, but it don't add up to the money. Like, what is the money? When I first came out, my records would sell based off of physical. If you sold 1 million copies, that means if $9.99, $9 million, you get this percentage, that's what it is. So if I sell how many streams, how much money do I get? It's not being translated and it's not working for the artist right now. And I just want to speak to that. In the music industry, like that's
it's good that he said
we
that
need
out
to find
loud.
a way to figure that out. The same way the writers are figuring out. The writers are striking because streaming, they can't get paid. Because when it's on the platform, it's not like in the box office. In the box office, if it does all these numbers, you may get an up. Oh, it did this many, here's another check. But on streaming, you got 300,000 hours that somebody watched your movie. Where's the money? And I know I'm going off a script right now. This is business. This is business.
I love it.
This is a room full of business people, and somebody may hear this and be able to do something about it so that way the next artist don't have to struggle or cry or try to figure out how to get to his money.
No doubt.
Because some of these artists are streaming millions and millions and millions and millions of fucking streams, and they don't got no millions of dollars in their pocket. So I just wanted to say
Amen.
that. Yeah.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, brother.
That was good.
Yo, shout out to MREC TV on that one.
MREC.
But yo, how you guys feel about that?
It's a deep rabbit hole. I mean, the thing about it is, once you hear someone tell you something like that, there's so many ways an artist can get robbed that, I mean, he's seeing numbers, right? He's Snoop.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm just to get to the bottom of it, right? I wonder, like, is there anybody else in between him and his pennies? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's the first question I have. And then aside from that, there's the label side where they've negotiated with Spotify over the years that they've given up money from the artists so that they can have interest in Spotify.
Right.
And on top of that, for whatever the master side, there's 2 sides to get paid on: the recording, the recording, the sound, that part, and then the writing and the production, the art. Producers split the artist royalty. So it's like half to the artist, half to the producer. That's the artist royalty, the performer.
Right.
And then you have the writing. So that's one side of the payment. Then the other side is just the recording. Who owns the master? Usually the record company. Mm-hmm. And that pays out beautifully on Spotify. That pays out like more than 200% of what the other side is getting to begin with. Now add to that they gave away a lot of the artists. So what they did was they made deals with streaming services.
365 or whatever.
Well, that's a whole nother part.
Right.
But they made deals with streaming services so that the leverage they used was the artist.
Yeah.
So they didn't give up the master side because that's money.
Because it was so long that labels were losing money.
And what's terrible is
they figured it out.
Yeah.
But what's even more terrible is the artist side was shit to begin with. So that's why we're at such a low amount, because even
I was already getting $1, so you just split my $1 into like 87
you were already
cents.
Getting, like, it's basically like.
So now we chopping up the 87 cents.
And you got to pay them back with that money.
Yeah. So it was like basically you went into a poor neighborhood that was already poor, and you really fucked them. Like these are poor people already.
Right.
And you're like, nah, it's not enough. Like you're gonna eat. We're gonna ration your food now. It's not bad enough that you could barely pay the rent. You could just now you just get this like on some Cuba shit. You know, like
I urge artists just to educate themselves. Before you sign whatever agreements you're signing, know who owns what, know what you're entitled to. I know it's like a rabbit hole of information out there, but still in all, man, like who's paying who? Where's the money? I agree, man.
But here that's where it goes. That's a different level of making money off of the artist, right? Just like they're bottom feeders in hey, let me
market your album.
Let me do this verse, whatever, right? Yeah. Like, and I don't knock nobody for hustling, but what I'm saying is, at the same time, the industry does the same thing. They do the same thing in making money off the artist, because how many releases are per day? It's 50,000 releases a day. So what do you pay? You pay 20. What do you pay to get a song on a DSP? I don't even know.
I think you get like a yearly subscription.
No.
You do like
you pay like $200, $20.
Probably 20.
All right. So get this. Okay, so anybody here subscribe to? I'm guilty. I subscribe to Spotify.
Oh okay. Yeah,
I'm guilty.
So how much you pay? I pay the family. The family
yeah. It's like maybe like 12 to 15.
It's $20 right now.
Okay.
And they don't let you pay yearly.
Okay.
Because it's revenue. Mm-hmm. So they're like they could take that. They could go to the bank and they say we got however many billions they make in revenue. Yeah. So they're making bread.
And they can leverage that. Yeah.
And they can leverage that, right?
Absolutely leverage that.
So the artists and then it gets flooded. So the artists are paying just to get their shit on there. Not only are you paying to get it on there, you're paying it to stay on there.
Right.
I put one song and
that's
I was
another
like,
piece.
This song is, and I'm not. I mean, I don't got any music out right now. But I was like, wait, if I'm not making what I'm paying, then what's the point of this being on here? Right?
You're not making any money. You're actually spending money to tell people that it's on that platform.
Yeah.
There's actually a big movement right now of direct to consumer.
Oh, I'm with it.
People are trying that.
I'm with it.
Well, that's Bandcamp, right?
Bandcamp is direct to consumer, but even me with this release coming, I'm still weighing options. There's exposure versus. But the truth of the matter is, and this is the reality that I'm dealing with, is like, if it's direct to consumer and you're gatekeeping your own stuff, you can do small numbers, and do well,
because you get 100% of the profit.
Yeah,
exactly.
So and you might sell physical. You can decide how do I
print up some vinyls.
How do I want to?
Of course.
Package my stuff, right? And how do I want to release it? But the problem is too, as a lover of music, as a lover of reaching your audience, and I'm talking about me as someone who I want people to enjoy like my music.
Right.
And this is how they always get us, because we love what we do and we love to reach someone. We just love it. And that's how they got us, because that's the temptation. So it's like, okay, I could do direct to consumer, but in my heart of hearts, I'd rather reach a lot of people who love my music or are making an impact on their life,
or
make it easier for them to listen to it,
versus getting more money. And that's how they get us, because that's the joy is
labor of love.
The joy is an email, saying
you labor for your labor of love.
Yeah, an email from someone. I listen to this song every time I work out, or I listen to this. This got me through. Like bigger than anything is those things. Like that, or that the way you did that production. It made me want to make beats. It made me like that is such.
That's worth more than what you spent. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Right. That's the problem, though. But you know what? I'm gonna say something. I want to say something because I don't want to be. I want to highlight the blessing it is to have talent and creativity and to make music
and to get it out.
Because you know what? All these can I curse? I can curse, right?
Yeah.
All these motherfuckers
who
rip us off and raping you records and all that shit
that
they do to us is because honestly, they wish they could fucking have the gift that we do.
I agree with you, brother.
And
Amen.
that we have this outlet that we can reach people, that I can make something in my mind and I can make it into a reality.
Bring it to light.
And I can bring it to life.
Yep.
And they don't have that. So you know what? While they're running around with money, they're robbing people. That you can see the karma's happening to many people who do that to people.
That's right.
And you know what? So we should rejoice in. There's a proverb and it says, "It's better to have a small morsel in the corner of a house in peace than to have a feast in strife." And that is, I live by that. You know what? Because I've had
karma.
and I've had and I've had not. And I'll be honest with you, I'd rather live a humble life in peace with a select number of people that I love and they love me than to have people coming at me. People saying this, I don't know if you're for real, if you're not.
Fraudulent love.
This
I got you.
whole situation where, like, to get peace, I need to get away from these people. Like, I want to be around people where I'm at peace when I'm away from them. I'm at peace when I'm with them.
Yeah.
We're feeding each other. We're supporting each other. It's love.
That's priceless.
And I wanted to say that because if anybody's listening to this, watching this, I don't want them to leave with that, like, fuck, man, I'm never going to make. You know what? You don't know what tomorrow brings. You take the first step without seeing the whole staircase.
Right? Absolutely.
But if you have passion and you love what you're doing, that shit is more value than anything. And I'm not trying to be like generic or trying to sound like I'm preaching. I live by that shit.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like the fact that I go into a room, I'm alone, I make my music, I have a vision. That shit is like such a joy, man. And maybe I'll make some money, maybe I won't. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But
I echo I think all of us kind of echo the same message. I'm getting, something with him, and we're trying to put a project out, and the film with Flex, and trying to do something with. I think if you keep it consistent and it's creative and it's original, money and the monetary will always be secondary.
Best time to be an artist.
That's a
My
fact.
opinion is the best time to be an artist, and the tech is changing, and we had to adapt to it. The streaming stuff, I'm pretty sure it could definitely use some updates, but there's a lot of other tech that artist has access to that is free, that is unimaginable. Before, if you want to put out a record, you need to do the little CD, burn 1,000 copies, print out the thing. You down the hole before anybody even listened to your music. Now you could just upload to YouTube for free. You're not paying no cloud service to host your file size on that platform. And just artists just got to get creative on how to make their money. People think just because they make the music that people need to listen to it. Nah, you got to put out content, and you got to build your community, and you got to cultivate experiences for your community to come and experience what's it like to be a part of your vibe. There's just a lot of people who are just internet artists. They hit upload and just sit back. No, you got to be out there touching the people.
Dope.
Yeah, thank you for
well
that.
Said.
Yo, that right there spoke to me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, because
he always tells me, activate your audience.
No, but that's real, because you know what? Like, you make me feel like I should put my shit just on Bandcamp. You know what I mean? Because the truth is, like, if I do what you just said, then I don't need the streaming services, and I'm gonna connect with people.
You're gonna connect regardless.
Because I think the idea, like, why do I feel like it's like a weakness or something? Like I want to put it on there,
right?
Is because you have this concept of, literally, if you put it on there, I could give you one of those scan codes, and all of a sudden it's on your phone. That convenience and that, like, I'm in there. That's the temptation. But you know what? Maybe we got to start thinking like fucking Gucci and all. Not everybody can get a Gucci.
Yo, my homie just dropped something, and he did my homie Alaska plug. He did something, and he did it on Bandcamp.
You talking about from Hang
AT?
Oh my God, I used to love those guys.
Yeah. So I was on that album, right? And then just recently it dropped in August, but they did 100 vinyl. So they did the Bandcamp, they did 100 vinyl, and then he's been doing consistent projects like this. And I love it.
But that's cool,
Listen, at a few $100 a pop, you're making it back on the vinyl end, and you're catering to your core audience.
That's what
Well,
he's doing.
Nipsey
And if
had
you
the
do
whole.
what he said,
Yes.
Nipsey had the Proud to Pay $100 for his mixtape, and I think like Jay-Z bought like 100 copies, you know. And there's another thing that's like this pay what you want, where you can make a bid on how much you would pay for it, and then the artist has the option to accept it or not. And then when you look at the numbers, it kind of averages out. But artists need to get their audience used to paying them money. You know what I mean? You gotta be comfortable.
Agreed.
And this
he
is
always tells me that. It's
and
true.
This is if you want to make
Monetize.
money off your art. If you want to make it for the love, then don't get involved and just put it to the cloud, and whatever happens.
It's knowing your value.
Yeah, but now if you want to make a business out of this, then you can't complain. You know what I mean? Like if you're trying to reap the benefits, then you got to put in some work. But
agreed.
That's dope.
Agreed.
no,
And I
real.
think there's
That's
definitely
very real.
more. I think there's definitely more of that that's actually needed. Like that type of like consultant
Yeah.
service. That like whether big like kind of like from a bigger brother perspective, or I've kind of what I mean. Like I feel like a lot of the younger artists need
because
that.
younger people know it's complicated. I know it's hard, but navigate me. I want to hold your hand and show me how to get out of the tunnel. Right? So the consumer or the young artist wants to know, what exactly do I need?
Yeah.
They want the root of success, like most people don't know fucking their ass from their elbow, let alone music. Most people need their music spoon-fed. You know what I mean? Like they don't know what the fuck is going on,
Real quick though, with the AI stuff, like me as somebody like who has an appreciation for music, I wonder if I could try to like make beats using like AI or something like that. Like make me a bass line that's like this, and then give me some strings that's like that.
It
then
seems
it gives access.
Learn along the way.
It gives access to people to do stuff. Like
I'm honestly all for that.
You gotta embrace it. You can't like.
It's a great tool.
You gotta embrace AI.
You got to.
And we do AI shit all the time. You look at every magazine cover, they doing Photoshop to remove the blemishes, to do this. You're not seeing the actual, original thing.
You ever had something in your head you just couldn't get it out? I think it could help in that aspect.
Yeah.
Maybe picture it for you, and then and then you take it from there.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. Like so like I'll even I'll put an idea in there. I haven't really used exactly what it gives me, but it gives me a guide. I put that in, and then like I might play something a little different.
You've used it before?
ChatGPT?
Yeah.
Yeah. I played around with it, but I hadn't used it. I know it's there.
Yeah, get on the mic.
My apologies.
There's a lot of crazy apps.
Yeah, there is. It's amazing. I played with it just to see how far they go, and it goes.
Look at
bodes well.
Udio.
Uh-huh.
That's crazy.
I played with Midway before. I mean,
that's another one. Yeah.
There's a few, but again, it makes you wonder if I could put out the comic book. It goes back to what I said. So who really owns this comic book?
I always
I
wonder.
think it's yours. You just put it in.
Hypothetically, it's mine.
Yeah.
Maybe it's yours,
Co-written
but then
by-
somebody else could use it too. Like the voice that you made, right? The voice that you made in AI. Maybe what would it look like if somebody else used that? Like, can you get like, you're using the voice
it's like a public domain.
Yeah, you
Anyone
could probably
can
flip
use
it onto that too. Maybe. Yeah.
I think that's what that whole thing was about. You know what I'm saying? Taking someone's intellectual property and using it for monetary purposes.
How would you feel though? Like you as an artist, right?
Yeah.
You put all this work into the album. You put the album out in 2025, and someone jacks your face, takes your vocals, and makes you sound like,
popping.
I feel some sort of way.
I think.
Yeah.
But what if you can't tell though?
Oh, if I can't.
That's
tell.
the question.
They'll
You know what I mean? Like what if they're just?
Or you can't prove it.
No, what if
You
they're
can't
just
prove
using it
If
like
you can't,
like art,
But
man?
what
like,
if it was
like,
something good?
I took that.
You'd be proud of it.
If it's something you like, you might be hype. You be like, I'm jacking that. But if it's something like mad, like
I didn't
left,
co-sign that.
you be like, nah, that ain't me. I didn't do that.
I think if it sounds like you should have the right to revoke it. Be like, no, this is not cool.
What about paint like you?
But wait, but sound.
What about graffiti
paint, like-
artists? Let's just say graffiti artists. They have a
style.
certain flair, a certain style.
How would you
Yeah.
measure the sound though? How would you measure sound and be like, okay, this sounds like it? Is it like this person's average
Well, like
pitch is
you
this?
can tell
and
if
they-
drums, they're
go back
sampling.
to like Drake or something.
Yeah,
You can
but
tell
there
it's
are
his
also-
voice.
Yeah.
Wait, listen, no,
Cadence.
hold
but
on.
there are people who also just naturally sound like the next person. Like, you
I
can
didn't
find
know.
that person in America that's gonna
I'm
sound
sure
like this
there's an
person.
app for that.
Yeah,
I didn't know. Go ahead,
Yeah.
sorry.
And then you could tweak it, add a little, whatever, and then now
I
like
think
they
long
really.
as it's not exactly, because I mean we all gonna have similar sound. I mean there's people who just sound like each other. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
I was convinced.
As long as it's
that
not exactly.
I was convinced, and not to bring this topic back up, but I think you told me or somebody told me. I was convinced that Bieber song was real, and they were like, "No, that was AI." I was like, "Oh, he even did a song about it. That was AI."
Yeah,
bro.
Yeah.
Bro.
I mean, but that's gonna be
AI's
everything.
AI's
You already
pumping
getting
out hits
fooled about it. You don't realize when you're on Facebook and Instagram, the AI bots in the comments that you think is actually real people. You'll be surprised how smart these like bot farms are. Before it used to be an Indian account with somebody saying "nice photo" with a thumbs up. Now
7,000
Now
phones.
it's
No,
looking
it
at the
understands
other
context.
comments.
It understands tone.
It's
It
a little more
understands-
intellectual. He was
And-
telling me that.
Bro,
where
it
are
fools
these
me.
phone? Where are these
That's a
phone?
good
What
point.
do they call that? Like they got like these
the farm bots,
The
like,
farm.
and they said that they have them in like Russia.
They got like 6,000 phones. Like
It's a basement with a bunch of phones
Yeah.
and shit.
Bro.
yeah.
Bro.
That's dope.
There's actually a YouTube channel that he busts them.
You
Like
need-
he does like
you
a
need
reverse
one of those,
camera,
Shok.
and he
Oh.
says,
Shok.
"Yo, it's crazy,
You need one of them phone
Yeah,
farms.
I'm getting me a phone farm. Forget it.
bro."
Yo, I just brought this
My
phone
lesson
farm.
for today:
Phone
How many
farm.
acres?
Drop out of school.
Yeah, you don't mind for Bitcoin or any of that. He's like,
None of
"Nah, I
that
just
shit.
got this new
Phone
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 farm.
farm, yo.
7,000 goddamn telemarketers.
I don't even care if I have fans anymore.
I got telemarketers.
I got 1 million plays every day. I'm good.
good.
So before we get out of here, any
Oh wait, but not before you say that. Like, it's funny because I saw recently something came out again on the news. That would have been like this dude created something and used the DSPs. Found out whatever was popping on the DSP, used AI to recreate it, and then freaking made a ton of money. Million, like an astronomical
I don't
amount
understand.
of money.
What do you mean? What did he do?
Can you translate?
He basically made a whole
AI artist.
a whole collection of music
Whatever's
using
popping.
AI.
He studied whatever's popping.
And he put so much of it up, and he actually made like
Generated.
15 million instead of pennies
streams.
on
Nice.
streams. So he was flooding it. He made a bunch of money, and then it's kind of a weird situation because then Spotify sues him, right? Because it's AI and it's artificially generated, and they don't feel like they want their money back that they paid him.
Because it's not an official stream, aka right?
But at the same time, they
Profit.
behind
They
the scenes
benefited, yeah.
are wanting to make AI music and push artists out. That's a big thing with like Spotify.
Wow.
They want
That was
to
it.
flood their
AI
service.
lo-fi beats. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So they don't have to pay nobody who
Exactly.
made the lo-fi.
So they
beats, 'cause
wanna
you don't
make-
really know the artists of that.
They want to make even more money where it's like artists are like lessened. You know, I mean,
Wow.
The thing is, here's a conspiracy before we finish. Maybe there's all these things happening and they're toppling all these artists and all these different situations.
I see where you're going.
I thought once, that maybe it's a possibility that they want to just make artists
Generate
less
their own
valuable and not respected by people and not looked up to like these gods like they normally did, and like kind of deflate the value of artists, so that when you're listening to a song and it's AI but owned by Spotify, who they put out, and it's #1 on the charts, and it's not a real person, that you'll be more okay with that. That you don't need to like go to the Ariana Grande concert and go crazy with your girls,
Because what is it? A few years ago, Sony created and signed the first like
the AI rap.
That was just a test.
Yeah,
that was a test run.
I think that was a test run to see response.
And I
like,
think he
that's
started
what goes
spazzing
on
out.
in these meetings.
He started using racist
That's what they're
slurs.
discussing.
Yeah, I mean my son.
How's AI using racist slurs?
Ooh.
Yeah, that's
It
deep.
could get away
It's
with
learning
it,
from
can't it?
humans.
Yo, that's deep.
That's
son.
deep.
Your son what?
That's deep.
Oh yeah, he interned at Sony last summer, and part of what they were doing was trying to develop software that can track where the AI got its influence from.
Oh wow.
So that then they could get royalties for the stuff they own. So like let's say they're trying to figure out a software that's going to go through the music that AI creates.
Yeah, the algorithm.
And then say
data mining.
So
and then say
data mining.
This was created, like for example, let's say one of my records. This was created by the data from Rod Digger Imperial. You know what I mean?
Shit.
And
That's
then I could get a
detailed.
royalty.
You did that record
from that?
I
Yeah,
didn't realize you did that record.
That's mind blowing, bro.
Yeah, Rod Digger, Buster Imperial. But
that was like her best record.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a club jam.
Yeah.
Club banger.
Yeah.
But
that's crazy.
That's what they're trying to do. So in the end, you can never beat the monster. You can't beat the monster.
No.
The monster's always gonna win, and fuck him. I mean, I like what you said a lot, man, because it's making me. I'm at that space right now. Like a year ago, I was at the space of making my album and learning what to do. I'm at the tail end of it. So now I'm in the space of like, how do I want to approach? Getting out there, and the things you said were like very concrete. They were like very real.
But what's interesting with you is that you actually had success in the 90s. So it's just like, for you, I'm not saying that I don't know if like, I don't want to say that you're stuck in your ways, but there was a system that you're used to. And that's what it is that you're just used to it. So now it's just time to explore the new stuff.
I'm always ready.
But you already have the building block, so you're already ahead of the curve for a lot.
But I'm always a forward thinker.
You have the talent.
So like I'm ready to jump in there. You know what I mean? Like I'm not really like one of those people that's resistant to change.
Yeah.
Real quick before you go, Shok, just tell us about the new project.
It's Demizbah. The name that's the artist name I'm going under, Demizbah, and the name of the album is called Little Michael. So it's basically my real name is Michael, and so basically it's about that inner child, and like I'm doing this project completely from me. So it's like pop, electronic, some rap in there, and every song, it's I'm doing it like listening to my intuition 100%, where I don't have to like make I would have to cater as a producer, like if I know like certain artists is coming through. I know the BPMs. I know that they don't like too much going on. I know that so I have to cater to that person,
Yep.
And even in my own stuff, sometimes I would be catering because I know what's happening, and this is the first time I just completely, I had the freedom for the first time, I was
Creative
able to
control.
do it, and I did that. So it's Little Michael, and it's basically the theme of the whole album is hope. Not giving up, how we're connected to everything, the stars and the universe, and
Dope.
And how like powerful music is, and how they I got some different things in there.
Yeah, it sounds spiritual. It's connected and it comes from you. So some things when things aren't materially based, they come from a different place.
Yeah,
but
I hope people see it. I hope it reaches, your people. And I mean, that's what it's about. I mean, there's one song I did 6 versions of because I wanted it to feel a certain way. That one's called Never Give Up. And it's, I did like a version with mad technical changes and all types of different stuff that I thought was really cool.
Right.
But I would listen to it and it was like, it's not feeling how I don't want the listener to feel. Like there's records and movies that make me feel a certain way, and I wanted it to make you feel that way. So I would like watch that movie, listen to that song, go to the studio, and be like, it's not hitting right, and I would do it, and it ended up being like with some Billy Joel type pianos, and just something that I normally wouldn't do, but it felt great. You know what I'm saying?
It's all about the feeling, right?
That's dope.
Right, Mel, it's all about the feeling.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You go with what and you're saying you're doing it no excuses style. It's just gonna be you and your feelings. So you got to make it if you're gonna articulate it for everyone else. Yeah, make it
hit
as
the
perfect
masses
as you
with
can.
it. And again, I know I've
look
said
forward
it,
to it.
but
Thank you.
I've always said being a DJ and a producer, so underappreciated within the culture, because listen, it's the backbone to the craft. There are so many like amazing guys that we even grew up with that are dope DJs, dope producers, and they never get their flowers. Before we get out of here quickly, any producers per se with you within the hip hop craft that you love, that inspire you, that you think are like super duper dope?
Well, I mean, that's an easy one because I mean, Dr. Dre as a producer for me, I have what he said when he accepted his award. I have it as a quote right on my monitor.
What did he say?
Quantity I mean, quality over quantity, and not to basically until you're not to stop working on something until you've reached that vision of exactly what you want. I'm like rewording it, but those were the 2 points.
Dre,
and that's
Dre's talented,
and that's powerful because you look at his career and he'll take a long time in between things, and he's known to take time.
He might have as a producer probably one of the most successful rap careers.
For sure.
Because that album is,
I would say,
like all the artists that he's affiliated with, from Ice Cube, Eazy-E, Tupac, Snoop Dogg, 50,
that album,
Eminem,
that Chronic album,
The Game,
yeah.
As a producer,
Kendrick.
I didn't say he wrote it. I don't know if he wrote it.
Yeah. No.
Doesn't matter.
Which is still hard. I'm not going to lie. Like, someone can give me 16 bars. It does not mean it's going to sound the way you think it is in your head.
I was never waiting for Detox, by the way. People always made that a thing. Like, yo, the Detox. Like, I feel like maybe people were waiting for the production on it. But nobody was really waiting for you to rap on it. You feel me? Like,
yeah, I thought he was a dope MC. Anyone else? Producer-wise?
I mean, if you want to go to Boom Bap, Premier.
Yeah.
I gotta say Larry Smith. Larry Smith is huge for me.
Diamond
Pumpkin,
D, yep.
huge.
Dope.
Mantronic,
dope records. Diamond.
huge.
Dope.
Actually, Mantronic is huge influence for me. Probably missed somebody, but
yeah, Primo's high up there for us.
I mean, Kraftwerk. And then if we go out of hip hop, I mean, I'm a huge Flume fan and Skrillex.
Skrillex,
like those are the
doubt.
Wow, Skrillex.
Like for me, like my electronic influences would be like Flume, Skrillex, and Kraftwerk. Like those are like, super the gods of electronic to me.
Listen, that's one thing I want people to take away from the episode is like, you do have to expand your knowledge of music. Just don't stay stuck in a bubble. Listening to one genre, especially that's not hip hop. Especially as a producer, man, get your ear accustomed to different sounds, jazz, different samples, different loops. One thing about production that I do miss in the 90s is sampling. Me and you always talk off camera. I think sampling, in that era, there's a certain skill to it, certain soulfulness, especially if you get the right chop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I did one like that on the album.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a sample, it's chopped, and
that 90s production,
it's all hip hop.
Just just like now, drill sounds different. The era. 90s production just has a certain drum sound different. It's just coming from a different universe.
Production-wise, actually, I like in studying the 90s, I feel like it branches off to like two directions. It's the Dr. Dre kind of sound, and then it's like the Tribe Called Quest, like. That sound, and I feel like those are the two main like veins of then like the types of music. And if you look at it, like Dr. Dre is responsible for a lot of gangsterness in hip hop. Like he got a song in Get Rich or Die Trying where literally like cocking the gun and shooting the gun is incorporated in the beat. Like you know what I mean?
NWA,
like that is
baby.
crazy.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Any last, I always have guests come up before they leave. I want to just, give the younger generation, people kind of younger than us, inspiring and upcoming producers, give them some positive word of influence, maybe a little insight to success and little tips.
Yeah, I mean, that's easy. Never give up.
Mm-hmm.
That's honestly, I don't want to be too simple.
Right.
But that's really the whole thing because underneath that is everything else,
right.
So someone's not going to believe in you, something's going to go wrong,
right?
You made a mistake,
right?
You got blackballed, this happened, that happened. The bottom line in this whole thing, the difference between anybody who does it and doesn't is the not giving up factor. It's really simple. I mean, you could get very wordy, you could get into a lot of things, but stay hopeful, believe in the vision that you have. Be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself, and just do not stop. You can take a break.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. I've taken breaks. I've taken it, but don't stop. Don't give up. And
I agree with you, man. Keeping that mojo is the hardest part. I mean, hey, listen, look at all of us.
Disciplina.
Even Red Dawn, all those missions back in the days, going to YO, trooping on the train.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Pick you up from 242.
What the hell?
I'll pick you up. We would go. Listen, just so you know, we would go from Bay 50th.
Coney Island, pretty much.
That's a good trip,
to
yo.
242, and he would pick us up, and then we'll go up the hill.
And then we go up the hill, which is like another half an hour.
So we're looking at a 3-hour trip each way.
So some of you younger artists are spoiled. Y'all don't know what it is to get. We used to have to hop the train because of course we broke.
And then like a few years before that, we were going to Charlemagne's crib, which is on the other side, on the
Bronx,
east side.
right?
Yeah, man.
In the Bronx on 238, which is one before 240.
Shout out to Charlemagne. Shout out to Natural Elements. But again, my brother, thank you for coming up.
Thank you, man. This was
It was a pleasure.
This was great.
Awesome.
Yo, Jedi, any last words?
Nah, man. I mean, I can't. Like, Shok, you killed it. You dropped a lot of bars, and we you the whole episode was, you summed it up at the end.
Hell yeah.
Every experience you went through, you summed it up, and we're excited and looking forward to. And Shok and I were having this conversation earlier while we were in the car coming here, and I think he's in the best creative space. I know he's in the best creative space he's ever been. And not only because he told me, but I could just feel it.
No, it's a blessing. Listen, at our age, there's a small minority of people that we came up with that are still doing music, still relevant, and still successful. So kudos to you. You're still in it to win it. It's not an easy thing, my brother, especially with life, kids, and everything else. Mel, anything you want to drop?
Great story. Yeah, I can watch that on a special Netflix and whatnot.
We didn't even get to the whole other side. That's part. We got part 2. That's
part 2. We get on the other stuff. You know what I mean? PHE.
I would just say, self-education is important. Go out there. Information is there. ChatGPT is there. Tap into your OGs. Tap into, the folks who paved the wave. So I'm super impressed with you. Like the fact that, you are experimenting with AI is demonstrating that you are, trying new stuff, and I think that's so fire. Like you gotta stay on the cutting edge. Like you're not trying to do the stuff that you did before. You're experimenting with new things.
Amen.
That's what it's all about.
Keep on developing. Keep on pushing.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for everyone for tuning in. Thank you for everyone coming down. My people, a pleasure. Shok, thank you again.
Thank you.
This is the Cheers of the Real podcast. I am Mr. Tom Brody.
Hey.
And we are here. We ain't going nowhere. New York underground hip hop forever, my brother. Cheers to the real. Let's go.
Come on, we need that outro music. I thought I was waiting for the outro music. I thought you had some. There it is.
Yeah.
Tom Brody.
Screaming, cheers to the real. Good vibes only. Putting in work and recipes to all the homies. Yeah, money was the motive. Hood couldn't hold me. 100K made man suckers looking phony.